and they say like, oh well, that's his debt or that's her debt, but ain't it? That's y'all debt, because if she in debt or he in debt, ain't you in debt? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Dear Mr. and Mrs. Bradley.
If it's your first time watching our channel, just make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button. Click the notification bell so you never miss a single one of our uploads, because you're going to miss out on some good stuff.
Also, don't forget to follow us over on Instagram. Same name, Bradley Party of 6. And don't forget to share this video. All right, guys? So today's topic is very near and dear to our hearts. As a young couple who gotten where we got, I don't think we would have made it here without some kind of budgeting and financial, what's the word you want to use, savviness. So we get a lot of questions and a lot of comments about different things we're doing, how we manage our money, how do we do our whole like budgeting situation, how do we combine our money. So we haven't done a video like this in a while, so we decided to go ahead and sit down and film one.
So this video, we're not going to go into detail about how we actually budget our money. If you guys want to see a more in-depth video of how we budget our money, then we can definitely sit down and do that video. But I think the question that we get the most out of everything is how we actually combine our finances as a couple.
Yeah, so we've talked about this in prior videos, but some years back, probably, it was about 2 months before we got married, we opened up a joint checking account. And at the time, neither one of us had a whole lot of money. So it was fairly easy for us to be able to combine our money. Would you say that?
I think it was easy to combine our assets because we had none. But I think the mindset of it was a little difficult, and it took some time to get used to. There were a lot of money arguments about who spends what and where this money is going, and we really had to.
I don't think we had arguments when we combined our money. We had arguments before we combined our money. We had like a thing.
Both.
So in the beginning, we had this thing where we like had to call each other if we called it a big purchase. I think it was like $100. Anything over $100 that was about to be spent, we had to call the other person to make sure that it was okay to make this purchase.
Which I still think is a good practice. We could raise the threshold a little bit, but I still think that's a good practice. Just so the other person knows. So if your money is completely combined and I look at the bank account in the morning and we have, just say, I don't know, $500 in the bank. I look at the bank account in the morning, there's $500. You go out and spend $250, but then maybe I wanted to go out and spend $250. If I don't say anything and I don't check it again, because I just checked it a few hours ago, if you don't say anything that you spent the money, I go out and spend the money. Now we at zero, looking crazy.
That's usually me. That's usually me in our relationship.
That is not.
Because Cece be out and she'll go do one of her little Saturday sprees and just be swipe. And I'll be like, babe, before you went swiping, did you actually log into the bank account to see what kind of money was in there?
I know there's money in there.
But how much money is in there?
Enough for me to shop.
So I think that's, like she said, I think that's a really good practice. You should, especially when you're talking about like combined money, like that's not all your money in there. So just going out and just swipe, and don't be CC. Call your significant other and discuss with them, or at least give them a heads up, like, hey, I'm probably gonna do a shopping spree, maybe the day before. Have a conversation like, hey, I'm probably thinking about going and buying a few things tomorrow. Let's sit down and check the account and see what's in there.
Now, another question that we have gotten is, do we think it's wise to combine our finances together, or to combine your finances together as a couple? And do you want to start with that, or do you want me to start?
I mean, I'll start it. I say we've convinced a few couples in our circle that this is the best practice. So I am a very firm believer in that if you are married, your money should be together. Now, I will put a asterisk asterisk on that. If you are married and you started off together, building your kingdom or your assets together, then yes, your money should be together. If you was previously divorced, or you guys got together at a later age, and you already had some assets built up, I don't have that one. I'm a little more of a gray area on that.
Now I have two comments. One, when we say couple, hopefully we're talking about a married couple.
Yeah,
because if you're just not, if you're not married, I think under no circumstances should you put your money together. I think that is not a good idea at all. That's just me, but I think that's not a good idea. Now,
we were engaged, headed to get married.
Yeah, we were engaged. It was a few weeks out before the wedding before we did it. But so yeah, if you're not married, I don't think that's a good idea. If you are married or getting married, I tend to agree with my husband here. Now, for us, we ain't had nothing. So you put it together, it was still zero. Together apart, it was all zero.
It was one. We got the one.
Whatever. Together apart, it was all zero when we put that mess together. So it's like, back then, it was like I didn't care. We were pretty young. We were just starting out in our careers and trying to build something, and we didn't have anything. So putting it together really wasn't a big deal. Now, if we say we broke up tomorrow and I met somebody, now I don't know that I'm actually putting my money with yours. Like, I'm setting my ways with how I want to spend and what I want to spend, and I make a decent income, and I don't know that I'm combining my money with yours. Now if your income's better than mine, then yeah, I'm all for putting our money together. But if you make less money than me, I don't know if we putting our money together. And I'm just being honest.
See, I get into like the slippery slope with when we're talking about money, and like we don't have a divvied out. We've talked about it. We've always talked about like an allowance and like spending thresholds, and that don't really work with CC.
It doesn't. I want what I want when I want it. So, which is why we make sure we put our money that we want to save to the side first, and our bills get paid first, because I want what I want when I want it. I don't want to just have a $100 every 2 weeks. What is that? No, I don't want that.
So give you guys a little more insight on how we do things. We have several different accounts, like we've talked about in past videos.
And again, if you guys want us to do a full video and like really break down everything, we can. But
yeah, so I'm not gonna get too deep in it. But we got a primary savings account. We have our mortgage account, and we have our bank account. So then we sit down and we divvy out
and a grocery account.
And a grocery account. We sit down and we divvy out the bills. The bills come out the bank account. The mortgage is obviously the mortgage, and the savings is obviously savings. Groceries obviously the groceries. And then we know what we got left over. We know bills is paid, money is saved, investments are made, and the money that's left over is CC's to spend.
And I need every penny of it. So that's how we do it. Now, I do know some people who have basically their money, they put like a set amount of money goes into a joint checking account for like bills and expenses for the house and the kids and stuff like that, and then they have their own checking accounts where they can, purchase whatever they want, sort of almost like that allowance, I guess. So
but that's not an allowance. So that's a cool, I kind of feel like that's a pivot. But go ahead, I don't want to jump off.
Well, I was gonna say like my check, both of us make $2,000 every 2 weeks. I'm just throwing out a number. So we both make $2,000 every 2 weeks. 1,000 each go into our joint account for bills and kids and household expenses, and then we have that other 1,000 in our personal accounts where we could do whatever with. If I wanted to, the one thing I do like about that, like if I wanted to buy you a gift, right, like it doesn't have to come out of our checking. He can't see it, you know what I mean? So that's one thing I do kind of like about having separate money, but that's literally the only upside I see for us in having a separate account.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about like that avenue, like being like, okay, we gonna take this certain amount of money and we're gonna put it all in. We both got a portion. We got to put it together and go from there. Part part I've ever like got a hang up on that from is like, what if it's a short week or a rough week or a rough month for one or the other person? Like, what do you do in that situation?
I was gonna say that too, because I feel like that's something that we had kind of talked about at the beginning when we first was trying to decide how we wanted to mesh our money. That's kind of one of the things that we talked about, because at that point in time I was making more money, so it was kind of like, okay, yeah, we can each put an equal amount of money in this pot, but then at the end of the day I have like more money than what you would have to spend. And not that it's like, I feel like saying it now out loud is kind of petty, because if you need some money, you know, but when your mind isn't there yet, like we were young, we were still trying to figure it out. So when your mind isn't there yet, it's like, well, wait a minute, if we do it this way, then you have $1,000 left over. I only have $300 left over. Like, that's not.
Yeah, it wasn't that big.
I'm not saying that, I'm just throwing out numbers, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, like, so then it becomes unfair to one of the parties, and then it's like, okay, well, do we switch up how much money then you put into the bill account, and it's just too much. It's too much.
It's always come down to like, it's always like a weird, I feel like this is a weird situation they get into. Like literally, I've had, in the past few years, I've had some really, really nice bonus checks, and they've always come, she always always say is, those checks come always right on time. Like, every time we need me to have a really good bonus month, I have a really good bonus month. And if we was doing it how we was doing it, then if I was to be like, oh, okay, well, this is all I got to put in, and I got all this abundance of money left over here. But I feel like when you're together, like y'all whole mindset should be rolling together. We need to tackle this together. We need to fight this together. And that's how we look at the money thing. Like, everything is it's yours is mine, it's mine is yours type of deal.
Like, yeah, we used to get paid on opposite weeks, and I'd be like, yes, I get paid every week. I get paid every week. His paycheck, my paycheck. His paycheck, my paycheck. And it was so nice. But it's like, it's to the point where we like, oh, do we get paid this week? Like, it's not like who gets paid this week. It's like, do we get paid this week? Like, those are the questions that we ask, because we're just so used to our money being together. It's like,
hearing couples, when I hear like couples talk, and speaking on some of the couples that we've actually brought around on our side, and they say like, oh, well, that's his debt, or that's her debt, but ain't it, that's y'all debt? Because if she in debt or he in debt, ain't you in debt?
Because what you gonna do? Put them out? Like, if they lose their job and that debt still got to be paid, what you gonna do? Not pay it? If you got money to pay it, you gonna pay it. Like, you gonna pay the bills. If I lose my job, and even though like our credit cards, we have separate credit cards, but if I lose my job, the credit card bill still has to be paid. So whether our money is together or separate, like, once something happens, like, all bets are off. I said,
unless you just plan on walking out. Unless you just plan on like, oh, my bad, you lost your job. You can't hold your part of the bargain. Well, this marriage is over.
Right. Or you gotta go. You can't stay here. No, you can't pay your half the rent.
You got to go.
Like, like, when you look at it like that, for me, it just didn't make sense to have separate accounts. Also, I feel like when you do have, again, if there's some sort of disparity in the incomes, then you feel like one person almost has the power. Like, I never want to be in a relationship where I feel like somebody has more control of the money than I do, or I have more control. Like, I don't want to be in this marriage and feel like he feels like I have more control of the money, or where I feel like he has more control of the money. I just don't want to feel like that, because I feel like that's I don't know, it's just a bad feeling to feel like you got to come to somebody and be like, hey, I'm a little short this month. Can I get $10? Whereas you could just go in the bank account and get it.
So, giving you a little more insight, again, we're going to deep dive a little more on our how we do things. We definitely will share that. But our income has literally been a roller coaster of she the highest paid, I'm the highest paid. She the highest paid, I'm the. So we've been on this roller coaster where it's
we had a competition going.
We've been on a roller coaster where it's like, okay. So, and that's the cool thing is exactly what she just said, is like, even in a year where she made more money, it never was like I've never felt like intimidated by her making more money, or when I was making more money, like she never felt like he controlled the money. It's always been that's just all. You got paid, you got a raise. Oh, okay. Well, we got a raise.
Yeah. That's how I feel. I'd be happy. Please go get that raise.
So this is gonna wrap it up for this video, guys. Again, like we said a couple of times throughout the video, if you want to see us actually do our budget meeting, like how we sit down every other Sunday night and converse and go over our money and divvy it up.
That's tonight, ain't it?
That is tonight. Yeah, that is tonight. I thought this was relationship 101, but no, this is budget. This is budget week. So yeah, so if you guys want to see how we sit down and do our budget, how we figure out and actually break it down and go throughout the week, let us know down below. We will definitely do a dedicated video to something like that for you guys.
Again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. We appreciate all the love and support. If you missed any of our other Dear Mr. and Mrs. Bradley videos, the playlist is always linked in the description box as well as linked in the cards, so make sure you check them out.
All right, until the next time, it's Mr. and Mrs. Bradley checking out. Peace.